Ewoks. This is the Emperor's Elite Legion. If you don't know, the Emperor's Elite Legion. And these are the Ewoks. And this was created by my friend Alex. And I can't wait to devour. You know what? I never want to eat this. I just want to keep it on the table forever. And that's going to be the intro for this Star Wars video. I don't know what to title it. There's probably a title on it now. Maybe The State of the Star Wars Universe Before Rise of Skywalker, or 10 Things that Skywalker, that Rise of the Skywalker needs to answer, 10 questions. I'm really not sure how to position this other than I want to talk Star Wars. So let's talk Star Wars.
Frustration is the path to the dark side. Take my weapon, strike me down, and your path towards the dark side will be complete. Welcome, guys. This is the State of Star Wars, the Star Wars discussion, or rather, what we want to see out of Star Wars Episode 9 to complete the Star Wars trilogy. And you know, J.J. Abrams has taken over and has promised us that this film will be incorporating a lot of different elements from not only the original trilogy, but also the prequel trilogy.
It's not just a movie that needs to stand on its own or the end of, 3 movies. It's the end of 9 movies. So it means that we had to look at not just what Ryan did. We had to look at what was done in the prequels. We had to look at what was done in the original 4, 5, and 6. And, of course, with 7 and 8. So
some of his recent comments have been quite interesting with maybe some disagreements with, Rian Johnson's interpretation for The Last Jedi. Even the cast has come out and said, well, I wouldn't have done things a certain way. So I feel a little vindicated in some of my opinions on The Last Jedi and how that movie kind of divided the Star Wars, it truly divided the Star Wars fandom, and in my opinion, was a solid film, but not a very good Star Wars film. So I just wanted to get together. We are T-minus 1 week away from the release of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, guys, and I want to talk about what questions that film has to answer, it has to do, what it has to explain, and then currently, what the state of the Star Wars universe is right now. So let's talk about the state of the universe. So let me say that, let's just get to the juicy bits. This is a completely off-the-cuff video, so you have to understand my scatterbrainness. Let's get to the juicy stuff right away. What do I want from Star Wars 9? Alex, I'm going to tell you. I want them, and I'm going to make it very simple. Fix Rey, fix Leia, fix Snoke, fix Luke. Most importantly, fix Luke. Anakin must appear. I need a massive Star War. It's Star Wars after all. Yeah. I need space battles in that sense. I need a satisfying saber battle, this time with no mistakes. If you've watched The Last Jedi over again, you'll notice how that battle looks cool, looks great, but when you slow it down, there are so many errors, some digitally removing of the weapons, some people waiting around. I need a satisfying saber battle with no mistakes. If fan films can do it, so can you. I need some Force mysteries revealed. I need something, we saw a new light side power in The Last Jedi of Leia's Mary Poppins flight into space. So I would like to see a new dark side power appear. I want to see Poe leading the Resistance. I want to see Leia surviving to see the victory. She survived the original trilogy to see the Empire crumble, and she was the only one within apparently the New Republic that said, shit is going down, guys. That New Republic was so terrible. And she should see the end and see it to the end and survive and see victory. I want to see Finn's arc completed, satisfactory, right? I want to see Han Solo's death done justice. I know Harrison Ford wanted this. He probably wouldn't have even been in Force Awakens if he wasn't allowed to be killed off. But you got to have his death mean something, and because it's not that long ago and it's still fresh in our minds. I want to finally see the prophecy fulfilled. Balance to the Force finally attained, okay? And then also the prequels tied in, the originals tied in, and the animated series tied in. That was a promise. That was already something J.J. Abrams said that he was going to do. Yeah, and that's it. That's what I want to see. Do you think that those are all solid things?
I think those are all, like, that's a long list, and we have 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours to finish this off. I mean, the state of the universe as it exists now, there are so many things spread out, and we have a point that we've got to get to, hopefully a satisfying point. And they've got a huge job ahead of them to gather up all the strands from what was left after The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Weave them in together something coherent and then finish everything off in a satisfying way. I don't think that all of your list is going to be set. I would love it. I want it more than anything. But I think that your and you have things on there. I have things on my list that you didn't have in your list. I want to see the Knights of Ren actually brought in. There was questions in some of the previous movies that they kind of teased at, like the Maz character. It's like, where did you get the lightsaber? Are you going to go into, how that character? And we just honestly don't have time.
Yeah.
So which of these things are they going to like satisfy us with, and which are they not? More important than anything on that list, I want them to I want to be able to leave the theater and not be furious. And that's it, because the last cut, like I liked The Force Awakens to a point. There were some issues I had with it, but I liked that movie. Last Jedi, it was like you said, it was a fine movie, but I think it was a garbage Star Wars movie that had a lot of issues.
That's the film, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different documents of Star Wars documents that I've written over the past and trying to come up with a video, and I just said, screw it, we're gonna film something.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. So here, as you were, I was upset after The Last Jedi. And it made me write down approximately 10 things that pissed me off, right?
Only 10?
Yeah. Well, there's probably more than that.
Just
but
the big 10.
Why was there, number one, why was there no plan? This is a failure of Kathleen Kennedy. This is a failure of Disney leadership. Yeah. This is a failure even of maybe J.J. Abrams and some of the directors to be like, look, you got to do this in a certain way. This is a failure of the writers as well. Why was there no plan? And if there was, whose fault was it that it didn't come to fruition? Because it's pretty clear now, after Kevin Trevorrow's comments, because he was originally going to, or Colin Trevorrow was originally going to do episode 9, then wasn't. And he said that the story wasn't going to be that way. In fact, there was going to be some kind of female villain or something like that. Would have been interesting, powerful with the dark side. Where do I put this blame? Is the blame on Kathleen? Is the blame on Ryan? Is the blame on JJ? It has to go to the leader of
all of them, though.
I know, but it has to go to the leader of LucasArts and Disney Star Wars.
We saw stuff like this happen before in other movies that meant a lot to me in the Hobbit, right? And so originally Guillermo del Toro was tapped, years and years of development. Literally a year before they were supposed to start filming, he backs out.
Yes.
And they are left in tatters, and they did the best they can, which was still terrible, and I hate the Hobbit trilogy. And this felt kind of like that, where there was supposed to be someone in charge all the way through, and then JJ just stepped out for I mean, what was more important?
Here's the thing. JJ wrote drafts for 8 and 9. Then Ryan arrived and rewrote The Last Jedi entirely. Ryan didn't keep anything from the first draft of the Episode 8 script. That is a direct quote from Daisy Ridley. And with no plan, we've seen what can happen. The Star Wars fandom gets fractured. Rian Johnson goes off and makes his own film, subverting everybody's expectations, which even JJ has said, I'm not really sure subverting expectations is appropriate for Star Wars. Because there's no hero's journey for Finn. You need to plan out that arc for it to be satisfying. Finn fighting Phasma instead of a random grunt. Then in the second film, he fights to a standoff. And then in the first, is he going to... I don't know. No, then second film, he takes care of her. And the third film, what does he have? Yeah. He's just going to be walking around doing nothing.
And that casino planet.
Canto Blight, we can talk about that.
I don't want to.
But that's what happens with Snoke primarily, when you don't have this trilogy planned out, who the major villain is, and then bringing back a major villain. Now, I actually agree with bringing back the Emperor because the Emperor has been in the series all throughout, and I think it caps everything off if it's done appropriately. But so let's get to number 2. Unpredictability does not make a film good, right? When the movie constantly gives you gotcha moments, you can't count all the gotcha moments. You know, Luke throws a saber. Gotcha. Leia doesn't die. Gotcha. And YouTube videos have pointed this out before. There's a random asshole hacker. Gotcha. It's a trap. He's an asshole hacker. Gotcha. Super secret shitty plan. Gotcha. Snoke. Gotcha. Rey's parents. Gotcha. Finn's gonna die. Gotcha. Luke fights Kylo to the death. Nope. Gotcha. Luke does die. Gotcha. You know, there's so many.
And
gotchas.
even the very last scene is a little kid that's apparently a Force user.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, just like, haha, everyone's got the powers now.
Right. There's a ridiculous number of plot twists and gotcha moments in The Last Jedi, and I think that that wore on people's nerves. Number 3, Holdo sucks. Just tell them about their secret plan.
That thing made no sense.
No.
It was so bad. There was no reason that the most important person in the entire Resistance, the pilot, that in the very first scene takes on the largest ship we've ever seen, single-handedly. Just he makes your mom jokes. He's
Did
blowing
you know
up
he
at
also destroyed Starkiller Base, quite possibly the biggest threat in the galaxy?
Yeah.
And this is the amount of respect that you're going to pay to
And
Poe?
no, we're not going to tell him because he's an idiot flyboy.
No, he's a man with a
balls,
and he's gonna make this. You could feel that they were pushing an agenda. I'm not one of those sort of anti-social justice warrior peoples. You know, I hold some progressive values and some conservative values. But
you're a normal human being.
I'm a normal.
Oh,
human
it turns
being.
out I'm also a normal human being.
I know,
yeah.
but on the internet there's extremes.
There's a line
Everything's
which
either a social justice agenda or everything is alt-right trolls or whatever. But I agree that I think that too much social politics and political stuff was injected and forced into The Last Jedi, whether that was under Kathleen's watch, it was under Ryan's watch. I think it was both of them. Both of them thought that it was great ideas. And, it just doesn't make any sense. What's the moral of the last, that whole thing? Be subservient to authority and blindly trust your superiors? That was how was she not going to talk at him with disdain and sarcasm and I'm so better than you? Should he have been subservient? Honestly, Poe is a better leader. It's just, but they made it seem like he's mansplaining or all this bullshit and the just trust women, and I hated that part.
It was terribly done. I don't mind, if they had done it in a different way. It could have been okay.
It could have been
but the
okay.
way that they
Exactly.
filmed it was garbage.
Honestly, I thought that if Holdo was the secret agent and that's how they were tracking the ships the whole time, that would have been amazing because that would have made more sense. And that's what I thought they were leading.
That before.
That's what I thought they were leading to, but no, that's not. And then when you have, Finn try to sacrifice his life for the Resistance, that would have been interesting. But then Rose Tico comes in, sacrifices.
But that's what
her
you were
life,
expecting to happen. And
sacrifices
so
her life to stop Finn from sacrificing his life, to then tell him that he shouldn't sacrifice his life and you should run away to fight another day. And then the very next scene, Holdo sacrifices her life, which she shouldn't do. She should have ran away according to the morals. The fucking Last Jedi's morals are all over the damn place, and it doesn't make it. And it's
Mission
subverted.
Successful.
And then of course the that fight scene were several errors. Number 6, the tone of the Last Jedi was so many goofy ass jokes.
That milk scene is haunting.
The milk scene. I liked some of the jokes, but some of them I felt were a little too far, and they were trying to Marvelize the film. Number 7, Rose sucks, and the casino side plot is pointless. No need to
even
expand on
if it
that.
had been Lando, right? If the payoff that the man with the boutonniere had been Lando, don't care.
Yeah, and I'm talking about Rose as a character, not the actress. I'm not one of those
Stop
that would
tormenting people on Twitter.
I wouldn't harass her or anything. I just say I think her character doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I'm not gonna. I could go into a 30-minute video about that, but I'm not, because we're talking about where we're at the lowest point before the Mandalorian and before the release of the Last Jedi. So finally, number 9, the ending needs to be the lowest point of that film. If you're doing like an Empire Strikes Back, or if you're doing like everybody's dead but 7 people on the Millennium Falcon,
7 of them.
Right? Why are we smiling? Why are we happy at the end of the film, which everybody is doing? There's literally 7 people left in the Resistance. The emotional tone of the film makes no damn sense. And then finally, all of your heroes are dead. What was the point, Disney, of bringing them back
We have
to
Chewie.
show that they're sad old failures? Luke is not Luke Skywalker, and that's the thing that bothers me the most. And I talk about the state of the Star Wars universe. That's Jake Skywalker.
Yeah.
Luke goes and he abandons his family and his friends, his great his family that he fought so hard for, his friends, and he's just now a coward. And it's a problem that Luke changed that much. Yes, you could change, but if a person changes this much, we need to see it. And we didn't see it.
Yeah.
We need to see that arc. And what do we get? We get a 10-second flashback sequence to Luke wanting to murder Ben Solo,
but it was an unreliable narrator situation because you see multiple shots of that scene, so you don't even know what is exactly happening in there.
It doesn't make much sense when Luke is the only one in the galaxy that thought Darth Vader could be saved. He killed younglings, he hits thousands of Jedi, hundreds of Jedi, and he's the most evil person in the galaxy, and he wants to save him.
Yeah.
But Ben Solo, no, fuck this guy, I'm going to murder him.
Well, the Emperor was in his mind or something that we don't know.
Whatever. Or at least enough to see, I'm okay with him being an old ratty, guy that redeems himself at the end if that's what you want to do, but we have to see it. You have to earn it, and what we saw wasn't enough to earn that.
This felt like an overcorrection of another classic movie-making blunder is when you have a new set of characters along with old classic loved ones where, like we saw in Terminator, where you have Arnold stifling the new characters that I'm supposed to care about. So they're like, no, we can't have Luke overshadow Rey, so we need to do something, and we need to correct it and make him a smaller part of the movie.
Yeah.
And instead, they made him an unlikable character that I could not even recognize, and so I'm forced to look at Rey because I don't want to look at that.
And we lost our Jedi training. I hope they managed to fix that somehow. There was only 2 lessons taught instead of 3. He literally says, there's like 3 lessons, but there's only 2, and it's because the 3rd one got cut. Ryan Johnson's issue there, and you could see the extended scene on the DVD. But here's another thing on the state of the Star Wars universe. I actually, one of the changes, I was going to talk about this later, I actually agree that the Jedi failed, and they should be replaced. Whether they're replaced by gray Jedi now or a whole new type of Jedi order. I actually like that when he says the Jedi need to end. Because when you think about it, the Jedi were too rigid and, about no attachment, no feelings, this kind of stuff. There's a point in Revenge of the Sith where Yoda basically tells Anakin to just shut up and stop thinking about it and to stop all this bullshit. And it makes Yoda look incredibly like an asshole.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's partially his fault that Anakin fell to the dark side, and the Jedi's fault that Anakin fell to the dark side partially. Number 7, why the theme of the movie was don't be a hero who attempts to sacrifice, but has 3 heroes who nearly completely self-sacrifice. Luke, Rose to stop Finn, and Holdo. Number 8, how shields, capital ship speeds, hyperspace, and gravity works in Star Wars, because The Last Jedi completely plays with all that.
You open a can of worms. You don't explain things in, I know it's not sci-fi, but
destroyed-
high fantasy. You just don't explain anything like that. And if you open the can of worms, because right now, every single X-Wing is a Death Star.
Yeah.
Every X-Wing pointed at a planet in hyperspace blows up the whole planet.
Yeah, use a droid.
Put a droid in there.
Hyperspace, you're
Boom.
done. But how? Okay, so shields. Why? Because Kylo can fire a missile and it goes through the shields and it completely blows up the bridge. Now let's assume that he flew under the shield generator. I don't know, but what's the point in a shield generator if ships?
Remember, the space isn't up and down. It's all the shields would have to be omnidirectional.
But I guess that's what Poe did in The Last Jedi. But you see how The Last Jedi brings up the questions of shields. It brings up the questions of capital ship speeds. The whole film is literally running away. Why not just go faster or hyper jump in front of them, and then gravity with Ryan Johnson's stupid bombers in space.
They were magnets.
And then finally the hyperspace jump that ruined Star Wars. Now I did hear a fan theory, and I think that Star Wars should use this as canon, is that the reason why that was able to work is that it doesn't actually work in the Star Wars universe, except for in this one instance, because the Supreme, that ship that Snoke's in, is special. It has a hyperspace tracker. That hyperspace tracker not only exists in real space, but it also exists in hyperspace. So when you go to that other hyperspace realm, Holdo's ship slams into the hyperspace version of the tracker, which then creates a collateral explosion and a domino effects into real space, which then explodes the ship, which then creates this brilliant white light. It doesn't explain how the other Star Destroyers behind it get ripped apart in the same way, but maybe that's just a shock wave from a real and a hyperspace unit exploding at once.
No.
Yes.
I've got it.
I want it.
I've got the real explanation. That scene was actually really cool looking, like really cool looking. And someone probably in the art department's like, "Hey, check out this scene I did," and he's like, "Perfect, let's do it." And they didn't think about it at all, and they just did.
Okay, that's the explanation, but I fixed it for you, Disney.
Yes.
But anyways, and then a few more things here. Rose and Finn, when they're on their adventure, they don't care to free children. They care more about those animals being free. You know those freaking slaves that helped you out to free the animals? Well, fuck them. Let's free these alien horses, right? What? They don't even come back to free those guys.
The whole side quest was so bad, and there was no
political
payoff.
shit. It's the politics. It's like, no, don't be cruel to animals. Animals must be free. What about the human beings? The slavery in the
that was like the secondary message. The first one was talking about like who profits from war, and it's the same people selling weapons to both sides, and everyone's evil. And it's like, no,
and then again, Finn's complete botch of a story arc, and then finally, Ray right now, she is confirmed to marry Sue for me. And, I know when you use all this language, you think, oh, my God, Joe, you're an alt-right troll. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. But no, there's so many things that she can do outright with how can she understand Wookiee? And she hasn't studied it at all. She's a great pilot. So I have an explanation for that. And I hope that they do it in episode 9. And I'm really, really hoping they do it in episode 9. But because I was hoping that her past would explain it, but her parents are nobody currently. I do think that they're going to change that.
I hope that's different.
But I'm telling you that's why I say right now she's a Mary Sue. If her parents are nobody, she's a Mary Sue.
Well, even if they explain later on that, she's midichlorian Jesus, and she's got the highest count that's ever seen, and she's, Taskmaster, she can see something, and then immediately do everything in the whole Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Would that make the first two situations better? It doesn't make
to me it does.
But you're talking about over.
I need that complete arc, and once that final thing is revealed, it's like, oh.
But is that
for example,
storytelling?
Anakin is what is the Mary Sue for man? Gary Stan,
sure,
whatever.
Bad character.
Whatever, but he was one, but it made sense by the end because he was the chosen one. He was powerful with the Force. Later, it's revealed in the comics he might be an immaculate birth created by the Emperor with midichlorians, and that's what I want for Rey.
We found that out within the first 20 minutes of meeting Anakin Skywalker, though. They test his midichlorian count, which I hate that thing, and they're like, hey, your level is as high as Yoda's. We don't know who your father is. And so it's not. I'm not saying he's any better, but just because you explained to me why she's so powerful in the third movie isn't going to make my opinion of her in the first two any better.
Yeah.
Like the character was bad in the first two. Sure, you fixed it in the third, but it's too late.
Yeah. This is what episode 9 has to explain, written in September 2018. I have 10 things that I wanted explained. Why Kylo's heart was already turned by Snoke before Luke decided to murder Kylo for half a second. Yeah, Luke was like, all right, I'm going to murder him.
Yeah.
Or I'm considering murdering him. I need to know why, but Kylo's heart was already turned by then. He was already kind of rebelling and stuff because he just immediately goes to Snoke, a person he doesn't even know exists in the universe. No, he was already probably talking with Darth Vader. That needs to be explained.
Yeah.
Number 2, and for that matter, who Snoke was. Was he a Sith? Was he something older? Was he a creepy, stupid nobody, Hugh Hefner ripoff who gets a boner as he narrates fucked up real-life events, blinding him to how much of an idiot he is? But I did a theory, and this was before I did my other Star Wars video, that I think Snoke is possessed by Palpatine or a clone of Palpatine because he talks exactly like Palpatine. And that would make sense, and I'm hoping that that's going to be true. Number 3, why Luke didn't go himself with the X-Wing to Crate for that final stand and decided to die from exhaustion or just a general feeling of finality when the rebellion could use him right now and Rey probably needs more training.
Maybe he thought he could buy more time by being a ghost and invincible or something. I don't know.
And the whole theme of that film was, no, don't make heroic sacrifices. Live to fight another day, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens? Holdo makes a sacrifice. Luke makes a sacrifice. It makes no sense.
But if you strike him down now, he'll become more powerful or
Right.
something, right?
And then number 4 is what you said, who the Knights of Ren are and the meaning of them in Rey's flashback scene.
Yeah.
We need to know that. If you put that in the film, if you set that up, you need to explain it later on if it's a part of a cohesive story arc. Number 5, why Luke's lightsaber calls to Rey and has a special connection to her. And for a better part, what you said is,
when how the hell did Maz get it in the first
How
place?
the hell did
We
Maz
said
get
that they said that's a story for another time. Well, this is the
This
only
is the
time.
last
This is the
time.
only time we're gonna get it. So give me that story. I want to know.
this is this last time. So why the lightsaber called to Rey and has a special connection to Rey, which is Rey Luke's daughter? Is it lineage? Did she forget? Is a Jedi mind wipe? What is going on? Why does the lightsaber call to her? Is it because she's the Immaculate Birth, the reverse of Anakin, or she's the true Anakin? I don't know. And where did Maz get that? Number 6.5, since we added one there. Where did Leia learn how to breathe in space, create Jedi bubbles instantaneously, and fly like Superman? She's got 3 separate powers there. She's breathing in space without, a bunch of oxygen. She's created a Jedi bubble so that, there's ice on her skin or whatever. Let's just assume there's a Jedi bubble because she'd be dead if that did happen. And then she can also fly like Superman.
More importantly
Back
than
to the
all
ship.
this, remember at this point, everyone assumes that the Jedis are a myth, right?
Yeah.
And then you have 3 witnesses see her Superman through space, and not a single person went like, "Oh my God,
What
she's
the
a
hell's going
Jedi."
on?
There's like, no, it's a normal thing for Leia to be doing,
Right.
flying through space.
So hopefully we need an explanation for that.
Yeah.
And number 9, why the New Republic and other Resistance fleets ignored the call for help on Crate. You must explain why nobody showed up or ignored it. Or are we to believe that the only remaining fleets and fighters were in orbit around that planet, Hacian Prime, and those little few transports trying to escape the First Order, and everybody was wiped out? All the fleets in the New Republic were in orbit at that time, and they were all wiped out. Bullshit! Where are the rest of the fleets for the New Republic? There should be all across the galaxy, and why didn't they show up at the end?
Didn't they dismantle? Was it Didn't they say something about when the
Yes.
New Republic came in, they started dismantling all the
Yes,
warships?
but there were
Some
there
still
were,
are.
there were, and you're telling me some were all in orbit around this
I
point?
don't know.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
And finally, number 10, how can there be balance in the Force with the incredibly powerful Luke, Leia now, right? Because she's got Force powers, and Snoke living and around while Rey balances out Kylo. Yeah, they imply that darkness rises with light to meet it.
Yeah.
And how all these kids Force users fit into the power level balance. I'd assume it's supposed to be Luke plus Leia equals Snoke, while Rey and all the kids with Force powers equal Kylo, right? So maybe that's the balance. Again, I'm trying to fix the balance thing for
The prophecy thing's always been really messy, and they keep tweaking it. And
Okay, I have an explanation for the prophecy thing, and because I wrote this back in 2018, I think the prophecy was referring to the destruction of the Sith.
Yeah.
That's how Disney can get away with it. It doesn't mean that, there needs to be one Force, one light side, or an equal number of light side and an equal number of dark side. It's referring to the destruction of the Sith. But The Last Jedi plants all these seeds that the Force will balance itself out. So it's not a problem I created. It's a problem The Last Jedi created with, if this side of the Force is rising, then something will rise to meet it. And that's why I brought that last point up. So that was, that's what I originally wrote on what Episode 9 has to explain, which is then kind of different from the questions that need answers. I'm just going to go ahead and read this too, because this is the final document of these 9 spreadsheets that I created as a Star Wars fan that I was hoping that Star Wars would address. So here we go. Now, some of the cast members and writers say, don't expect every single answer, because Disney's never going to do that. They've never done that in the past. And even the original trilogies, even though actually at the end of the Return of the Jedi, they do give quite a few answers, and it's not left up in the air or what's going on. So I hope that it's not left up in the air and what's going on. But anyway, number 1, who was Snoke? I want to know who Snoke was. I want to know why he was so powerful if he's not a Sith.
Yeah.
Number 2, how did Palpatine survive the fall and the explosion of the Death Star? I want to know that. You can't just bring him back and say, oh, no, he's alive.
Maybe he was a Sith Force ghost, and then he
You
can,
got
like,
it. You have to explain it, or at least give a little line, a little thing to it. Number 3, has Palpatine been the puppet master all along throughout the new trilogy, or does he just show up randomly at the end? He's just an old dude, and he's like on some planet, and he's hiding, and now he wants to fight, or has he been the puppet master? I know what the answer to that one is. That one's easy to answer. Finally, are the Sith troopers and the new Star Destroyer fleets, are those Palpatines and only loyal to him, or will they verse the First Order as well? That's what I want to see. I really want to see Empire on Empire.
A rift in the First Order.
A rift in the First Order.
That would be interesting because you could actually have, there's 2 leaders within the First Order, right? Like you've got the what is his name, the redhead guy,
Hux.
yeah, Hux, and then you've got Kylo.
Pride.
They could have those 2 people at each other.
Well, they're introducing a new character, General Pride, and he's with Hux. And anyways, why did number 6, will Kylo turn to the light side? You know, that seems like a good character arc for him.
He comes back and sacrifices.
Same like Darth Vader. Yeah. You know, he looks up to Darth Vader so much. Is he going to do a Darth Vader turn? Answer is probably yes. Number 7, does every new character get a satisfying arc? We need to pay attention. Does Poe get an arc? Does Finn? Does Hux? Does Chewie? Lando? The droids? Rose? Are we getting, satisfying
Leia's going to be
those?
really important.
Leia. I can't believe I forgot that. Number 9, did it do Leia's character justice? Will she die? Well, Han's character, was he done justice? These are things I talked about in other documents. Number 10, did it fix Luke Skywalker, or at least do him enough justice to overcome his sort of betrayal of a character in The Last Jedi? So Luke must return in this film is what I'm saying. And then finally, number 11, Rey's true heritage. Who were her parents? Were they really nobodies? How is she so powerful without training? Is she going to get training? It looks like it through the trailers. Maybe that's how they fix all that bullshit. But training lasts hour, and then she's the most powerful, and then she...
Are those training droids just like the newest model, and they're like the best thing ever, and it just turns
Teach her how to completely destroy the Emperor on her own? That better not happen. 13, how did Anakin bring balance to the Force if Palpatine is back? Will he bring balance again in this film through Rey? Basically, the balance of the Force thing is what I'm saying. How can Snoke be around if Luke is cut off from the Force and allow Rey and Kylo to rise and all that balance? But I already answered that with, I think it's the balance is really just a prophecy for
I
the destruction
forgot
of
he
the
said
Sith.
something like, I cut myself off from the Force.
Yeah.
Does that
So
work
that's
with
why,
the prequels?
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking, maybe he cut himself off from the Force, and that's how we get the balance. So there's 2 possible explanations.
Yeah, that's strange.
Cutting yourself off from the Force, but it doesn't look like Snoke has cut himself off.
If he's not, but he's not a Sith. He's just like this random,
right, which makes no sense.
I know.
Well, then, so is there another gray Jedi in the universe, or a gray, one that uses both sides? Wait, no, he's using dark side powers, Alex.
He's got he's got a Sith ring, right?
Yeah. Well, he's got a Duarte ring.
Yeah.
And then number 14, what is the fate of the Jedi and the Sith? Will this just happen again if Kylo and the Emperor is eliminated?
If Disney wants it to, we'll get 10, 11, 12.
Number 15, Dark Side Rey, is she real or not? Will it just be like her looking in the mirror? Will Dark Rey actually fight something?
I think the Emperor's going to show her like what she could be.
Right.
Just like, look how powerful you are with this Swiss Army lightsaber.
But will the real Rey flirt with the dark side, or was that just a D323 bullshit trailer, just a fake out vision, or will she be flirting with the dark side in the film? So if Disney is able to do all of these things, which is a lot of things, but it's something that they created, or at least a majority of these things. I don't expect every single one of these things on the list, but this'll kind of give me a gauge of, whether Disney is paying attention, whether they know how to complete arcs, whether they, are trying to wrap the storylines that they themselves created and wrap them up in satisfying conclusions. Yeah, but I think that's it. I know the video got a little rambling there towards the end, but it's just a Star Wars discussion. Yeah. And so and I agree. And that's it. That's it for our Star Wars video. Thank you so much for watching. And now we're going to see the Ewoks fight with the troopers. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I'm hoping for the best. And whether this film wrecks it or not, it doesn't matter because I'm going to still be a Star Wars fan. But you can bet your ass we're going to be talking about it if they do. All right? So thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you. And I'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.
We can't repel firepower of that magnitude. Empire Destroyer, Lord Angry Joe.
My creation.
Are you zoom in? We're gonna. The Empire did nothing wrong. I am gonna support the Emperor's Legion. They're destroying the Ewoks and these damn trees that slammed into the AT-AT.